Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I just want to do a quick kind of overview of the maintenance that I've just finished on my 2002 Lexus SC430, kind of like a mini update video here. The last video I did on this car got a lot of views, a lot of good feedback. So I do want to kind of follow suit and show you not only how the car has been, but also the most important thing, maintenance, what I've done to this vehicle to upkeep it a little bit, since it is a 23-year-old car. So we're going to discuss that in today's video, kind of list off all the things I did. Also, I did wax the vehicle. I did a full clay bar and wax on this vehicle yesterday, and the paint feels incredible, super smooth. It feels like new paint, so I'm really impressed with how that turned out. But without further ado, let's get into the list of maintenance items that I did to this vehicle. So the first thing that I did maintenance-wise on the SC430, and I think the most important thing on these cars, is the timing belt and water pump. It did have it replaced at 90,000 miles, but I went ahead and did it anyway, even though there was only around 40,000 miles on the belt. You should do it every 60 to 100,000 miles, but I did it early because the age of the belt was over 10 years. So they usually say 100,000 miles or 10 years. You really want to do it before, because if the belt breaks on this specific engine, it is an interference engine, which means the pistons will hit the valves, and you don't want any of that, because that's pretty much no more engine, and that's a very bad scenario. So that's the first thing that I did. I bought a ASIN kit, which they sell at Napa Auto Parts and other stores like that. ASIN makes a lot of parts for the Lexus vehicles. If you have anywhere like F-Car products like an ISF or RCF, ASIN does a lot of the parts in the transmission. It actually really is an ASIN transmission, which is pretty cool. So I got an ASIN timing belt. If you actually open the hood on here, you can see the ASIN name on a lot of OEM parts inside the engine as well. So it is pretty much an OEM kit, but if you buy it through Lexus, it comes in pieces and it's more expensive, so you might as well get the ASIN kit. So that's what I did. That's the first thing that I did to this vehicle maintenance wise, and it did, I mean, I didn't notice the difference. You're not going to, but the car noticed the difference. So that's number one. But there was a lot more as well, because as you know, with an older car like this, I mean, this is almost a classic vehicle. 2 more years and I can get the antique plate for this car, which I think is super cool. This vehicle here had some other leaks and whatnot because of its age, mainly oil leaks. There was lots and lots of oil leaks on this car, more than I actually expected. When we opened up and actually looked inside the hood, they were leaking. It was leaking all from the front of the engine. It was all over my driveway, so we kind of got that sorted. And the next thing that I did maintenance wise is the valve cover gaskets. They always go bad. It's normal wear and tear, especially on an older car. All right, so I thought instead of sitting in my driveway and staring at my car, we should drive it down the road and discuss all the maintenance items that I have completed. I know we discussed earlier the timing belt, and I was just getting into the valve cover gaskets, so we are going to discuss that and kind of take a quick little scenic drive down the road. It is a Monday evening. The sun's kind of setting, so it'll be kind of a nice scenic little drive around the town. I'm gonna kick the AC on here. The AC does work. It is kind of cool, these older vehicles. They have this little air vent down here by your legs, and you can get it kind of air on your knees. It's kind of cool. So definitely nice for Florida. So I kind of let the car warm up here a little bit. But to kind of finish where I started, yes, I did do the valve cover gaskets, right? Those are very common on older vehicles. They just get old and they get dry, and you kind of have to clean. You kind of have to replace them, right? That just happens. And if you don't replace them, they're going to leak oil, and they're going to leak oil down your engine. And usually on a lot of older vehicles, you'll open the hood and you'll see oil around the valve covers, and you'll be like, you know, that's pretty much common on every older car. But you should replace them, because that oil can leak onto your alternator and belts and cause other more expensive problems down the road. So we did take care of that on this car, which is nice. We're going to shift this into drive. I just love all the wood. Every time I'm in this car, the wood and the interior is just so beautiful. It's just incredible. And you know, the car does feel old, yes. Doesn't feel like a new car, like just, you know, the look of it and the interior, but it doesn't feel old at the same time. It still drives smooth, and it's just really cool in that sense. Let's get back to the maintenance. The next thing on the list of maintenance items that I did on this vehicle, we did a lot of the seals, valve covers, we also did cam seals, a lot of stuff like that because they were leaking. We also did new battery terminals and a new serpentine belt. I didn't realize how bad the terminals were before, but they were causing an issue with the car having connection with power, and it actually was having an issue starting, and that was because of the bad battery terminals. It just wasn't giving, it just was really messing with the actual strength of the connection to the car to the battery, to the point where it was actually not being able to start. You had to hold the key a little bit and then it would start. Now that issue is completely gone because of the new terminals. We also did a new serpentine belt because that was getting old as well. We also did fresh oil. So this car has brand new oil. We did use Castrol oil. I usually use Mobil 1. Mobil 1 is one of my favorite oils. It's super good. They use it in a lot of the high performance Lexuses like the F cars, LC, stuff like that. But on this car, Castrol is also very good as well, especially for the older Lexuses. You can't go wrong either way. So we did that. New Toyota OEM filter as well, so that has been replaced. The radiator has already been done, so that is no need to worry about. There's a lot of traffic today. All of this wasn't too expensive. Again, I got a lot of this stuff OEM, but you can get a lot of it online instead of going through the dealer. It makes it a little bit cheaper. Now, the next thing I did to this car was spark plugs. Now again, spark plugs are very important and they need to be replaced. A lot of people don't replace them in their cars, and they just wait until it gets to the point where its car is having an issue regarding the spark plugs. You want to replace them every 60,000 miles. That's when you're supposed to do it. I think these were done once before, so we did them again, and we did Denso Platinum spark plugs. Again, just like Aisin Denso, you'll also find the name Denso under the hood of a lot of Lexus products. Lexus uses a lot of Denso parts in their cars. Denso and Aisin are very good, so we got Denso Platinum spark plugs for this vehicle. And again, the car is running a lot smoother, starting a lot easier. So a lot of the things with this car have kind of been resolved with just all that maintenance. So we did spark plugs as well, and I have noticed a difference with the spark plugs. That did make a difference in my eyes and the way the car feels and drives. Also, I'm a lot more comfortable, I think, with giving this car some gas, giving it some power, because before I was nervous because the timing belt was older and, you know, I didn't want it to snap. You know, that would be an issue. And for those of y'all that don't know, if the timing belt snaps, no good on these cars. But now after that's been done, I feel a lot more confident in giving this car power, merging on the highway, or just anything of that nature. The car does still need some minor things, again, to be expected. I'm not going to do it all at once. I'm going to do all the maintenance slowly over time. You don't want to throw too much money into a car. It also depends on how long I'm going to keep it for. But most of the important things have been done. I am going to do some new things in the suspension area, things that will get old and worn out, and brake fluid, stuff like that, some other normal wear and tear items. I think I plan on keeping this car for a long time just because of the condition that it is in. It was taken care of for a good long time. The miles are pretty low for the year too, so. And I think it'll be a cool future classic to have. Like, I just think it'll be a cool car to have in general, especially with the LC together. I think the duo is just a really cool combo to have. I'm in Florida, so these cars are pretty common around Florida. I know in a lot of the northern states, the SC430 isn't as common as it is in like southern states like California and Florida, just because the convertible top doesn't make sense as much in the north as it does down here in a beach state. But either way, I do see a lot of these around, especially at the Lexus dealer down here. We have a lot of them that come in like pristine condition. We saw one come in that had 6,000 miles on it, you know, so we get a lot of these down here, which is cool. But I think that this car, even though it doesn't have 6,000 original miles, it is a really nice example, and I think it is worth holding on to and putting some maintenance items into. So we'll kind of go to this, we're gonna go this way here. sun is bright. And surprisingly, what I notice when I drive this car, the exhaust is deep. I mean, it sounds good. I'm just shocked. You know, it didn't like when I had the GS430, it didn't really make noise. And this car is quiet too, but you hear it more than you do the GS430. I just didn't expect that from this car. I thought it'd be a lot just like the GS430 quiet, but it's not. Now, a lot of people in the comments are going to ask me how much all of the maintenance items cost. So I'll give you a rough estimate. It was around $1,000 to do all the maintenance items I did to this car. There was more that went into it. When we got to the timing belt portion of the vehicle, the cam seals needed to be done and the VVTi actuators needed to be redone as well. So we did both of those items. This car just had a lot of work. We also replaced a lot of cracked vacuum hoses as well that were just old. So we just did a lot of upkeep. There's a lot of things that we just kind of pulled out that were just needed to be replaced. We kind of just did while we were in there. Again, the car's running a lot better. These older Lexuses, everyone will tell you, especially the 400 and 430 models, they just seem to, if you take care of them, they will just run and run and run. And I hope that stays true to this model as well. So I'm hoping that what people say and what I experienced with my GS430 stays true with this car as well. So I'm gonna see if I can take a U-turn up here. I don't think I can. This is all going to 75. Again, those downshifts are super smooth as well. Just unbelievable. I mean, this car it's idling right now. And it's just, listen to that cabin. It's silent. I mean, it's just, this car, I mean, you cannot feel an inch of vibration while I'm sitting in here. I still am impressed by it. I'm still impressed by how quiet and no vibrations and insulated this 23-year-old cabin is. It's just astonishing. You know, I know a lot of people say that this car has a very interesting look, which I can agree. And I know Top Gear said this was the worst car ever made, and I actually grew up on Top Gear. I love that show. But I do disagree with them on this specific car, because I just think that this car was just viewed wrong. That's what I think. I think this car was viewed where it was seen to be a sports car, but it's not a sports car. People have this ideal that two-door coupes must be sports cars, but that's not the case. This is not a sports car. It's a two-door convertible luxury cruiser, and it does that extremely well. And I think it does that better than a lot of the competition in this age bracket that compare to this model. Because if you take something like a Mercedes or a BMW and put it next to this car, same miles, same year, it's gonna have not only far more issues on the interior quality, things, you know, kind of breaking or falling apart, and the engine itself, but also I just don't think it drives as good as this car, in the sense of what this car is made to drive like. You know, I just think this car does everything really well. It's just such a good car. Like these hideaway, we have these hideaway pieces here. The radio hides away. You can open and close it. It's just super cool. And these cars kind of get overlooked, especially down here in a state like Florida where you see 10 of them every day. But they are really cool, and they really do feel expensive even after all these years. I do think if you hold on to one of these, it will be slowly more and more appreciated at car events. Kind of like the LFA. The LFA was so misunderstood when it came out, and then now look at that car. Everyone's like, oh, it's great. I've always liked the car. That's been my dream car since I was young, but everyone was like, oh, it's just the sound. The LFA is not just a sound. It's so much more than that, but that's a whole other discussion for another video. And yes, the pink key is still here. That's the one other thing I need to do, is get rid of this pink key. I want to get a black Lexus OEM key so it matches the car. That's important as well. So this car does have power. We're gonna give it some gas. And you can hear that V8. It just sounds so good and it's not too quiet. Like, it is quiet, but it's not too quiet. Again, very impressive, just extremely, extremely impressive car. We do also have, while we're driving this car, an ECT power button. That was Lexus's really first drive modes that they ever put in a vehicle, was the ECT power, and you can put the car into power mode, which gives you quicker throttle response and holds the transmission in a lower gear, or you have the snow mode. But that was Lexus's first like attempt at drive modes. Like, now you have in Lexus's, you have Sport, Sport Plus, Comfort, Economy, Customize it, and you have a custom mode where you can customize the driving mode to your preferred settings. But this ECT power mode was the original version of that, which I thought is really cool. Look at all this traffic. Gotta love Florida. So I need to get over. See that? Florida's busy year round, just so anyone asked, Florida is busy year round. You probably couldn't see too much with that visor down, so now it's finally back up. That's a Lexus NX that just passed us. The NX is, I'm not an SUV fan, but they did a good job with what that car is meant to do. The transmission shift's really smooth too. This 5-speed's actually really good. The way it feels is good. I'm not the biggest fan of, like, I think it holds the car back power-wise. I think this car could be a lot faster with like a 6-speed, which they offer in the later model years, but this car having the 5-speed, I think holds it back just a little bit, and that's one of the caveats with the O2 model. But again, this is a first-year model. This is a 2002, so, which I think is cool, honestly. Like, my LC is a 2018, it's a first-year model. I think that's just so cool. Usually the first-year models are like the most problematic, but this car's been flawless. There is a new Lexus GX550. Those are actually really cool. I would love to have one of those. I would like an Overtrail Plus GX550. I think those are really, really, really cool cars. And I think that I think having that to like tow something, like if it were me, I would have one to tow like the LC around. That'd be really, really cool. Really cool and unique setup. But I think overall, just in general, the GX550 is a really capable car. I think Lexus did a killer job on the 550 GX. It just looks good, the interior feels good, it's capable off-road. It's just an all-around great SUV. I'm really impressed with the GX550. Okay guys, my GoPro battery actually died on the way back, but I just want to close off today's video. Thanks again for tuning in. Let me know if you want to see more of the SC430 and what I plan on doing with the car. I don't know if I'm going to mod it. I don't really think I am. Again, I'm not really that type of person. I like my OEM plus type of look, or OEM look in general. The only cosmetic stuff I would do would maybe be like to paint this rear spoiler, which is kind of fading at the top here, restore the headlights. I would think about a muffler delete, or maybe getting some more performance style mufflers, make it a little bit louder, but that's pushing it. Maybe some OEM wheels, but a little bit newer wheels. But I kind of like these old wheels, and they're starting to grow on me. They're different. But again, let me know if you enjoyed today's video. I also plan on shooting some more content with the LC500 here soon. Maybe another Lexus meet is coming up here in the Florida area again. So I might be attending a Lexus only meet with the LC500, so stay tuned for that. I'll shoot a video on that next time I go. Also, I might be attending the Lexus Racing, the 12 hours of Sebring with Lexus Racing. So if I do go to that, I will film it, and I will try to bring the LC, but we will see. So stay tuned, but let me know again what you want to see more with this car.